Ah, so you found me. Don't tell anyone that my secret stash of My Little Ponies. Don't tell everyone that I'm a brony. They're in that closet. In there. That's where my stash of My Little Ponies are. Wanted to start off with that. I just want to put something real quick. Anything Al Pacino says is awesome. Even if it's something ridiculous, it's automatically awesome because Pacino is just awesome. He's an awesome guy. Okay. 2 nights ago on ABC, they had the 15 most influential films of all time in American cinema, and some of them I think some of them were spot on, some of them were just propaganda, like Star Wars, which was the #1 pick for I don't know which reason, because Star Wars isn't influential. So I took about half an hour to an hour writing down my top 10 most 15 influential movies in American cinema. Number 15. When it comes to political dramas, you just can't ignore the impact and the story of Citizen Kane. This movie, written by Orson Welles and directed by Orson Welles, got him in trouble with the real guy who it was about. And this movie is so interesting, but yet it's about political news and how political news got to be where it is. If Citizen Kane didn't come out when it did, then that means All the King's Men, which came out in 1956, wouldn't have been made. Citizen Kane is iconic for that reason. It was the first political drama to ever be in theaters. Number 14. Now, comedy is on here twice. The first comedy, I put in parentheses, slapstick, is Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times. In 1925, of course, there was Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd and all that. But Charlie Chaplin was the original. Before Buster Keaton and Harold Lloyd, they were inspired by Charlie Chaplin. And Charlie Chaplin's Modern Times, 1925, is considered one of his best works. Modern Times is a good film, so is Monsieur Verdoux and The Gold Rush, but Modern Times is a funny slapstick film, and it keeps you laughing from beginning to end, even though it's a silent movie. Number 13, when it comes to sci-fi, Star Wars is not on my list. 2001: Space Odyssey is not on my list. You know what the most influential sci-fi film of all time is? The original, 1953, War of the Worlds. Why? Because when this movie came out, everybody tried to copy it. The Blob, The Thing, the Swamp Creature movie, and everybody tried to copy War of the Worlds. And those are 3 perfect examples. But War of the Worlds, the original, changed how people viewed movies, because all the sci-fi films before, they were whatever was considered sci-fi, like there were always alien films, but this movie took the cliche-ish alien films that came out before and made them so much better. War of the Worlds raised the bar. Is it silly? Yes. Is it cliche-ish? Yes. But the acting's decent, so you don't notice the cliches, which is good. The acting is decent. If you can't see the cliches, that's good. When the acting is good, you can't see the cliches, that just makes the film even better. War of the Worlds, 1953. Believe me, it's silly, yes, but it's the most influential sci-fi film that inspired George Lucas to come up with Star Wars. Number 12. When it comes to romance, Gone with the Wind, no. Gone with the Wind is on 2 places on my list, but romance, Casablanca. You can't go wrong. Casablanca. When this movie came out, it redefined romance. It really did. It redefined romance, and people still try to have their characters have a chemistry in a romance film to try to be like the romantic chemistry between Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman in Casablanca. So it still stands the test of time. 11. War drama. Gone with the Wind. This wasn't the first war movie to be on screen, but this was the first war movie to go in depth and explain how the South was ruined by the North during the Civil War and after the Civil War. This movie is not only a war film, it's a romantic film, but Casablanca takes the cake when it comes to romantic films. But Gone with the Wind, perfect war drama. When it comes to comedy, smart comedy, 1977's Woody Allen's greatest movie, fan favorite, Annie Hall. Now, granted, some of the jokes fall flat in Annie Hall. I think it could have been better, but I enjoy it. It's funny. I really need to go into the details, because Woody Allen's movies, they just explain themselves when you watch them. Number 9. Autobiography. Boys Town. Now, when Boys Town came out, it came out in the 1940s. This I remember seeing the movie. And when it came out in the 1940s, well, 1938, this movie was starred Mickey Rooney, and, of course, Spencer Tracy, and they would star in a movie later, co-stars together, in a great comedy film called The Mad World. But during this time, Mickey Rooney was just a kid. And he played Whitey Marsh. And Whitey Marsh wrote an autobiography called Boys Town, and this was adapted from his own autobiography. Mickey Rooney plays Whitey Marsh very well, and Spencer Tracy plays Father Flanagan very well in this movie. It's a sad movie. If you've seen the movie, you know what happens to Father Flanagan at the end, and you can see Whitey Marsh being literally being destroyed emotionally to what happens to Father Flanagan at the end of the movie, and it's very understandable why. Number 8, when it comes to horror, I'm not talking about the slasher shit and all that, no. That's fun to watch if you want to scare yourself to death, but horror should really get into your head. Not in your head, visual. Now, I'm not talking about jump scares and all that, no. That's fucking annoying. Any horror movie that says, oh, we're gonna put jump scares in our trailer so people can see it, I'm not even gonna see the movie. Horror film. The original black and white Dracula. That's all I have to say. Dracula. It was the first horror movie to be adapted from the book. Dracula. Most influential horror film. Number 7. Musical. And I'm not talking about the hills are alive with the sound of music. Even though The Sound of Music is a great film, I enjoy it. And I'm not talking about 76 trombones led the big parade, while 110 cornets close ahead. They followed by rows and rows, the finest virtuosos, the cream of every famous band. I'm not talking about The Music Man, even though it's one of my favorites as well. I'm talking about come out wherever you are, and meet the young lady who fell from a star. She brings you good news, or haven't you heard? What she fell from cats is a miracle occurred. We represent the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild, the Lollipop Guild. And in the name of the Lollipop Guild, we wish to welcome you to Munchkinland. Wizard of Oz. This changed movie musicals, especially MGM movie musicals. Let me explain when MGM movie musicals were in the first place. They were to begin with. Just like the type of cliche-ish romantic film, but you could look past the cliches because there was good acting. But it was just pretty much a long music video. But The Wizard of Oz changed fantasy and musical cinema. Ever since it came out in 1938, it's still a great film. Number 6. I'm talking about thrillers now. Thriller is different from horror. I'm talking about psychological thrillers, which are better. And I'm talking about the movie with Bette Davis and Joan Crawford, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane. If you have not seen this movie, you have not seen a true psychological horror film yet. A thriller, whatever. Now, a biofilm. Autobiography and biofilms are different. Biography film. Biographical film. The Spirit of St. Louis. The Spirit of St. Louis, it doesn't matter the way you say it because you're talking about the same place. It's about Charles A. Lindbergh, and he's played by James Stewart. James Stewart, who was a great actor, who was in another lovable, most beloved film that they play around Christmas time, It's a Wonderful Life. But he plays, of course it's the most Hollywoodized version because this was the first biographical film to be put on screen about Charles Lindbergh, but this also changed the way Hollywood makers made biographical films. So, Spirit of St. Louis, great biofilm. That's number 5. Number 4, fantasy. I'm not talking about The Wizard of Oz, although it did change fantasy in the film genre, but fantasy film. And I gotta give it to Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. When you watch Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, you know, you're taken out of your world into a world of just beauty in this movie. I can't explain. The way they made Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is just beautiful, still to this day. Number 3. Method acting films. Method acting films. I'm not talking about Streetcar Named Desire, although it has Marlon Brando, who was the most known method actor, but Gone with the Wind. Yes, Vivien Leigh and Clark Gable. Method actor and actress big time. Vivien Leigh, who never had the mentality of, Fiddle dee dee, I'm better than you. No. She never had that mentality in real life. In fact, she was quite generous. In real life, she donated a good amount of her money to charity. And if you watch her play Scarlett O'Hara and really pay attention to her, that's just not acting, that's method acting. And Clark Gable, he was born in the North. He was born in the North. Everybody knows he was born in the North. He was not born in the South, although that's highly estimated about him because he played Rhett Butler very well, but no, he was no Southern boy, he was a Northern boy, and he played Rhett Butler in such a way that's great method acting. That's where Marlon Brando got the inspiration to play Stanley from Streetcar Named Desire. There's a lot of Rhett Butler in that character. If you really watch the film and just focus on Stanley's character, there's a lot of Rhett Butler in there. Number 2, animation. Steamboat Willie. Disney's first film featuring Mickey Mouse, but although it was a short, it was nominated for Best Short in 1928. But it lost to another short, to Looney Tunes. It lost to Looney Tunes. I forget which Looney Tunes, though. It was early, though. It was an early Looney Tunes short. And although it lost, it changed animation. It made it possible to have a full-length film. And number 1, action. The most influential action film, I know it's going to sound crazy, but Lawrence of Arabia. Lawrence of Arabia, even though it's more of a drama with the great actor who died last year, Peter O'Toole, but you know what? It's an action film. Above everything else, it's an action film. There's a lot of There was a lot of chasing scenes with horses and all that that just showed how far action could go, and in a 4.5-hour film, it did pretty well in Lawrence of Arabia. It changed action films. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and be sure to watch some great movies.